So when did you ask to marry her?
Well, actually, when I hadn't gone to school, my brother said, you really need to do it. In order to go to college, you better get some refresher courses, and so that when you get to college, you'll be able to step right in, because I had been out of school for a couple of years, and I didn't do so great in high school to begin with. So he said, there's a place up in New Hampshire where Dartmouth College is. There's a friend of mine running a prep school up in Hanover, New Hampshire. Why don't you go there for the summer and pick up some courses like algebra and English and history, and see how well you do. So I did it. Meantime, did we write? I guess I wrote to you, did I?
Oh yeah, we were writing to each other.
But we weren't, we hadn't made any commitment. So one day I said, I'm going to decide to come down.
You could get a ride. Someone was driving down, and you could get a ride down.
To Boston, to Malden.
This was during the summer too, so I was working.
And did I call you, Marilyn?
Yes.
I called you and said, I'm coming.
You called and you said you have a chance to come home.
And I'd like to have a date. She says, I'm busy.
Yeah, this was on Saturday night. He was asking.
What date number would this have been?
I don't know, but we had known each other since February. Since February, and this was June. And this was June. And we had seen each other not every week, like almost every other week.
Okay, so
yeah.
4 months.
So 4 months, right. And so I had a date that Saturday night. I said, I'm sorry, but I have a date. I don't see how I can break it. And what did you say?
I said, I was very disappointed. I'm sure you can break it. She said, I'll try. But it really scared me. It really scared me. I got a ride down to Bornstein, and I called her on the phone. She said I was able to break it. I was so relieved. And we went out that night. I don't know where we went, but I decided to park at a very romantic spot in Malden called Spot Pond, where there were a lot of people would park their, a lot of guys would park their cars, make out with their girlfriends, the dates. And I parked there, and the moonlight was coming in the car. And I leaned over to this girl and kissed her passionately. And all of a sudden I was overwhelmed with such love. I said, would you marry me? Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. So you said...
And the funny part was that when I talked to Barbara about this date, I said, I have a feeling he's going to ask me to go steady. Do you know what going steady was in those days?
Boyfriend, girlfriend?
Yeah, that you were exclusive. We would be exclusive. But the problem was that he was going away to Montana, and I was going away to New Hampshire to school. And that meant that we couldn't date anyone the whole time that we'd be gone. That he would be gone, which would be about 9 months. And I said to Barbara, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell him that we can, correspond and so forth, but that I wasn't going to go steady. Okay?
Grandpa, did you go into it saying I'm going to marry you?
That's...
I guess I'm way on.
Yeah, he had... What's the matter?
Shut it off.
So you were saying that
but when
he was going to ask you to go steady.
But he didn't ask me to go steady. He asked me to marry him. And I said yes.
Grandpa, did you have planned that going into that? Were you going to...
Came as a complete surprise.
Did you put your foot in your mouth after you said it?
No, I was very happy.
Yeah, because we sat there and talked and talked
about our future.
We talked about our future and what we wanted in life and what our life would be like and how he would go to school and I would go to school and then, we would get jobs.
A lot of times you hear stories about people who get together really fast and move quick and it just doesn't work out.
And it doesn't work, right?
What do you think the difference was?
So what'd you tell Barbara?
What you just asked, he just asked us a question.
What was the question?
He said lots of times when
Yeah.
someone does that, you know,
Yeah.
very impetuously,
Yeah.
it doesn't work out.
Right.
Why did it work out this time?
Why?
Yeah,
I think it was because we could communicate with each other so well.
right.
Don't you think?
I think that certainly. Yeah,
Mm.
I think that. I think we were truly, even though I was so young, we were both young, I think we were truly in love with each other.
Yeah.
And I think we had a lot in common. Things, our values
What
were
did you-
the same.
When you came home, what did your mother and father say?
Oh, they were so upset. They were waiting up for me. I think I must have come in about 1 o'clock in the morning on that one.
You said
Yeah.
you asked me to marry him?
Yeah.
So what'd you say to them?
And they said, that's impossible. You're just a baby. I was 17 and a half. No, I think I was 18 by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 18. They said, you haven't even graduated high school yet. How can you talk about marriage? Right? And so we had said, though, when we were talking, that we were going to be separated for long periods and that neither one of us should hesitate to go out. That we knew we were going to be married and we knew that we had found the right person, but that neither one of us should hesitate to go out. But when we go out, we should tell each other. And we both did that.
I have a feeling you would be okay when he'd tell you, and if you told him that, he wouldn't have liked it too.
Well, I was okay, but I was, you can't help feeling maybe this is someone that he likes better. Maybe he'd meet someone he liked better. And I know he had the same feeling, right? So it wasn't exactly pleasant.
Yeah.
But he did go to Montana, and I did go to New Hampshire.
There was no telephone calls. It was really all letters.
It was just letters, right? But then I got a letter that someone was driving to
Boston.
to Boston, and that he could get a ride with them.
From Montana.
Yeah, for
3 other guys.
yeah, and 3 other guys. There were 3 guys.
So you guys drove in a car from Montana to Boston, and this is what, 40 something?
1946 and 47 into 47.
They didn't have the roads like they had today.
And they didn't have power windows, power locks back then either.
No. And that trip is a whole other.
That'll be told
time.
separate. That'll be told separately.
That will be told separately because that was an adventure.
Okay?